Hi guys, how's it going? It's a pregame show. We are here to talk about whatever's happening here on, what day is it? Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. In the NBA, we've got 8 games on. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at who's in, who's out. We're going to look at lineups. We're going to do a dribble game. There's a lot for us to talk about today. So we might as well just get straight in. Welcome everyone's here. If you're here, hit a thumbs up. Always a good way to start the show off, to hit that thumbs up. Got 10 already. Let's get a few more of those going. And let's go do some dribble game. Let's just get nice and easy way to enter things today. All right, I'm just going to bring the screen up. There we go. Let's refresh that. Ja Morant for Steven Jackson, bro. Seriously? Is it Matt Barnes? Did Matt Barnes? And Barnes didn't play with Morant, did he? Vince Carter wasn't in Memphis with Ja Morant. Steven Adams played with Steven Jackson? Probably not. Who's an old guy for the Grizzlies? Huh. I can't believe they did this as the one. Who is this? That's a tough one. Ja Morant for Steven Jackson. Jackson hasn't played for a while. Who's played with Ja as an older teammate? Danny Green? Did Danny Green play with Steven Jackson in San Antonio? I think so. Bang! It is. Cool. We got that one done. Let's bring the lineup screen across and we can have a look at what we know so far. We've only got one lineup confirmed. It's the Magic. They're always first up here. Fultz, Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, and Wagner. So Suggs is starting for Gary Harris, good streamer. Mo Wagner is starting for Wendell Carter, good streamer. And let's talk about everyone else that's in and out at the moment. Okay, so Giannis is out. Drew Holiday is out for Milwaukee. So as you can see on that lineup page, we've got Javon Carter starting, Connaughton, Portis, Lopez, Allen. You're going to have more minutes for Jay Crowder. This helps Portis, who'd been really struggling. It helps Javon Carter, although Carter can be very hit or miss, but he's a good stream today for sure. Who else is out? We said already Wendell Carter and Gary Harris are out. The Pistons are just, Jesus Christ. Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Killian Hayes, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic are all out. Monte Morris is out for Washington, but Kyle Kuzma is a game-time decision. Jalen Noel is out for the Wolves. With no update on Tobias Harris, he's still questionable. PJ Tucker is questionable. James Harden is questionable. Jalen Brunson is out again for the Knicks. Ben Simmons is out for the Rockets. Not the Rockets. He doesn't play for them. He's playing for the Nets against the Rockets. Andy Wiggins is out again for the Warriors. Kevon Looney's on the injury report as questionable. The Bronco Jalen Williams is out today and tomorrow. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing today, but out tomorrow. Maxi Kleber is questionable. Jordan Clarkson is still questionable. Walker Kessler is out. I think Damian Jones will start, but it'll probably be a minute split between him and Azubuike, although Kelly Olynyk will play minutes at center, and that'll help the wings. It'll help Fontecchio. It'll help Agbaji because they'll go with Markkanen 4, Olynyk 5. So Jones might start, but there's no guarantee that Jones and Azubuike play all 48 minutes. In fact, I'd expect a lot of Kelly Olynyk to play at center. Colin Sexton remains out. Mo Bamba is out. D'Angelo Russell's questionable. Steven Adams is out. And, of course, Ja Morant remains out as well. Kevon Looney is probably closer to probable. Jacques Vaughn said he's going to give Nerlens Noel some minutes today. Draymond Green's on the injury report as probable. There you go. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happened. Wow. Lots of things for us to talk about and look at there. I'm waiting. I'm sure someone's going to ask me, hey, who's the best stream for today? Oh, there we go. Philip's already got the question. Who's the best shot blocking stream? Phil? Let's have a look. Who do I have? It's probably going to be Damian Jones, but let me just have a look at my list. Gafford, if he's available, he's a good blocking stream. Big Dick Nick Richards is a pretty good block stream for today. James Wiseman, a.k.a. Marvin Bagley IV. And then Damian Jones is in that list as well. How long is Carter out for? We don't know. People ask me these questions all the time. We don't know. There's no update. What they said was Jacques Vaughn's the old Magic coach. Jamal Mosley, they asked, is this a long-term thing? And he said no. But that's all we know. So he should be hopefully not too far away, but we don't know. I saw Norman Powell practicing on Twitter with no sling. Is it worth an ad? Not really, Brandon. He was very much just a fringe guy anyway with the addition of Westbrook. So he was like, do I even hold this guy or not, regardless? And he's out, and I don't think he's coming back at any time this week. So I wouldn't bother with that, to be honest. Is a week reasonable for Bronco Williams to heal from a wrist sprain? Look, a wrist sprain, we got no real information about the severity of it. It could be 4 weeks. He literally might miss 2 games and that's it. He might be back after these 2 games. Anyone think Harden or D'Lo is playing tonight? I think that Russell will play. I think Harden will... Let's have a look. I think Harden will... Who are they playing? I think Harden will probably sit. The Wizards are starting Wright, Beal, Kuzma, Porzingis, Gafford, so Kuzma's playing. The Pistons are starting Ivy, Magruder, Jesus Christ, Livers, Bagley, and Wiseman again. So Livers a stream, Bagley a stream, Wiseman a stream, Magruder probably not. But no Killian Hayes again, so Corey Joseph has a stream there. RJ Hampton perhaps as well. Hey, the Bucks are starting Chris Middleton. Javon Carter, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez. No Pat Connaughton. Surely this means that Chris stays in the starting lineup moving forward. His minutes are going to be something to watch, but Chris Middleton is starting. There you go. Who's been the more impressive rookie, the Bronco or Kessler? That's tough. Who has been the more impressive? I'd say over the course of the season, probably Kessler, but Williams' form over the last 2 weeks has been unbelievable. So I'd say it's probably Kessler still. Punch Bob is a good stream today, yes. You have a bye this week? Is Adams worth a hold in punt free throw? Yeah, like he should be back by the end of this week. Is Horton Tucker worth a hold for points league? Yes. While Sexton is out, you hold him for sure. Who do you stream tomorrow if Gilgeous-Alexander, Shea, and the Bronco are out? Let's have a look. Isaiah Joe. No, Isaiah Joe is the number 1 guy there. And then it just becomes a shit show. Like maybe Aaron Wiggins. But there's so many guys they can throw in there. I think Usman Jeng gets a boost. I think Jeng's played 20 minutes already the last 2 games. So I think it's Joe, then Wiggins, Pig Williams maybe, and then maybe Trey Mann, who's been really out of favor, but there's a big opportunity here. But I think it's going to be really weird. Matu says, what do you do with Hero? Do we just sit him on the bench? He won't figure out shooting again. Reed today might be related to his new kid giving him some troubles. I don't care about that part of it. All I know is he's shooting really poorly, but he's also one of those players that when you draft him or when you have him, you understand that he's going to be a below average field goal percentage guy. Most of my teams, because I understand that some of the biggest fluctuations in player performance on a week-to-week basis is field goal percentage. So in general, when I'm building my team, I either don't have these guys on it or I'm a punt field goal team anyway. So the problem with benching him until he figures it out, you don't know when that is. So you might bench him, he comes out, then has a game where he goes 10 of 15 and has 26 points. You go, all right, he's figured it out. Then you start the next game and he goes 3 of 10. So there's no once he has a good game that 6 good games will follow. That doesn't work that way. In general, I like to just roll with, hey, is this guy good? Yes. And I'll just roll with him because I don't know when it's going to turn around. And then in the end, what you end up doing is chasing. Well, he had a good game, I'll put him in. Then he has a bad game, I'll drop him. Then it becomes like the Aaron Neesmith situation where it's like so all over the place that what do you do? Is 50 games a realistic option for JAR suspension? I guess so. All it's going to come down to is the police involvement plus was the gun on team property. I think there was some thought, and I think I said this as well. The 50 games is the suspension for guns in team facilities. I don't think that's true. That did happen, I think, for Gilbert Arenas, but I think it's just the NBA can issue whatever suspension they like in that situation. It doesn't have to be 50 games. Is Cat out for the season? That's not what today's report said at all. What they said was he's doing some work. He's doing some practice work, but there's still no timeline. It's been really frustrating, the misreporting at the start of that injury. Again, when we saw it, went, oh, that's 2 to 3 months. That's a bad injury. And then they said, no, it's 4 weeks. I went, bullshit. It's at least 2 months is what my thought was, but it's even longer than that. And now we just don't have an update. If he could be out for the season, it would be really frustrating. But the report today suggests that's not the case. I still think we're at least 3 weeks away, though. Better stream for tonight, Wiseman or Bowl? Wiseman for me. Yes, Middleton is starting in place of Connaughton. I must be behind on these streams. No, Monte Morris is out. Do I think Zach Collins will continue to sit back-to-backs? I actually think he probably will, yeah. Is Eggs Benedict Mather in a hold in a 16-team league? Yes. Yes, like He's not a good fantasy player, but in 16 team, yes. Is it better to hold Gabe Vincent who has 4 games? I don't see how you would have, surely you have room for both of those guys in a 16 team league. The 4 games is interesting for Vincent. And they've got 3 games in 4 nights coming up here. So if I had to choose, maybe I do choose Vincent there just for the extra games. Will Oladipo play the back-to-back? I believe he played their last back-to-back, so I would think it's looking good. Let me just double-check that before I give you false information. Yeah, he played in their last back-to-back, so it looks like it's going to be pretty solid. What are back-to-backs? Welcome to the show for the first time, Carson, or welcome to NBA for, it must be the beginning of your career. Back-to-backs is when you play one day and then you play a game the next day. That's it. So you play Monday, then you play Tuesday. That doesn't happen all the time. Can I make a convincing argument for Kessler as Rookie of the Year? I can make an argument. I don't think it'd be convincing. The argument is he leads rookies by a significant margin in all advanced metrics, and he has been a legitimate defensive impact guy. But the role that Paulo Banchero has been asked to undertake, number one option, the ability to draw free throws and produce offense, albeit inefficiently, as well as distributing to others, is a significantly harder role, and he's succeeding at that role at a level that most rookies never get to. A lot of players never get to. Yes, it's been inefficient, but Kessler's role is a lot easier. He's doing it very well, but I couldn't, that'd be my argument, that all the advanced stuff, all the impact stuff is well in favor of Kessler. I don't believe that argument, though. I think Sexton's a lock for 30 minutes when he comes back. Initially, no, but yes, eventually. Is Kuzma going to play? Yes, he is playing. You can see it on the screen. I know I'm probably a little bit behind on this. Suggs or Ivy, a good stream for tonight? They are. They're both good streams. Percentages, yes, it's rough. I think Suggs will play more minutes. I think I probably still lean Ivy, though. Do I think Embiid plays today? He's not on the injury report? Then yes. If he's not on the injury report now, he's playing. That is like a 1 in 1,000 situation where someone's not on the injury report 20 minutes before the game starts and they don't play. So yeah, there's no mention of him whatsoever. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Lineups all set. The yellow one's all confirmed. So the Sixers is the interesting one there with Harden, Harris, Tucker. So you're going to have Melton. You're going to have McDaniels. At least Melton's probably going to start. You expect one of those 3 questionables to miss. But who knows who. As I just bring that up on the screen, I'm just going to refresh that to get that little black mark off. So what are we really waiting on to wait for today? Well, it is the Sixers. It's Harden, Harris, and Tucker. We're waiting on Jordy Clarkson, D'Angelo Russell. They're the big injury swings that we're waiting on today. Am I worried about Boyan? Yeah, you should be. Yeah, I think he's going to miss quite a few games here down the stretch. Do I see Mikal Bridges blossoming into a star in Brooklyn? No, I don't. And let me phrase it this way. Do I think Mikal Bridges can be a really good player? Yes. Is he going to be a player that leads you as an all-star level guy? I don't really think so. I think he's going to be very good. He is also shooting unbelievably above his head at the moment, which is really helping what he's doing. But I don't think that he's a guy you go, all right, we've got our number one, and we build around that. That's not who he is, I don't think. I think he's going to be good, but look, there is a chance that he turns into what Larry Markkinen did this season, that he becomes that guy. I don't really see that, though. Again, doing it for 5 games is very different for doing it for years and years and years. Are Murphy and Jay Rich elite streamers for points leagues? Well, they sort of eat into each other. That's the problem there, because Richardson's off the injury report now for New Orleans. They do eat into each other a little bit. I just don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to start Richardson or Murphy. I definitely wouldn't call them elite. I'd probably lean Murphy over Rich, and they both can be options, but the fact that Richardson's back hurts. Thanks for your input on turnovers. Yes, I fully agree. What do you think is the most viable alternative category? I don't know that you necessarily need... let me rephrase this. I don't like turnovers as a category. But finding that 9th category is really, really tough to do. I think it requires... I think the thing is you're always going to get... Toby Harris is playing, by the way. Tobias Harris is playing. The problem you have is that you get so much pushback because the categories aren't that great. Like points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. They're your standard 5. Okay? 3-pointers, field goal, free throws, turnovers, your other 4. I think three-pointers made is a ridiculous category and it shouldn't exist in this era of the NBA. They're just so widespread. It's scoring and it doubles up on points. I don't think that should exist. Field goal percentage is not a good representation of how efficient a player is. I don't think that should really exist. But then you just end up adjusting so many different things. Yeah, I think having 3-point percentage, 2-point percentage is more important than having field goal percentage and having three-pointers made or having turnovers. There are lots of ways you can do it. You can split rebounds into offensive and defensive. You can add like a 3-point percentage category in there, but the problem with that is that field goal percentage already takes 3-point percentage into consideration. So you've got to somehow get field goals out and put 2-pointers in. And the limitations of Yahoo and ESPN don't let you do that, which makes it really frustrating. So I've yet to find a great answer to that. Mr. Jacob, can you get a meal tier list? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Breakfast is at the bottom, clearly, by a long way. It's this is the opposite of what you listed. Dinner, lunch, breakfast. Breakfast, shit. I don't even eat breakfast. Doesn't even occur to me. Never eat it. James Harden is out. There you go. Harden out. Harris in. Melton value up. Shake Milton's value also up. Still haven't heard, though, about PJ Tucker. Is OG just bad now? Absolutely not. No. Is Hayes a drop? Shouldn't you mean Killian? Yeah, like he's not playing. Move on. It's what you got to do in the playoffs. Thank you for reassuring my John Collins drop. I did it because his production is so replaceable. Do I follow MotoGP? I do not. I've never watched a single MotoGP race. Car racing does not interest me in the slightest. Do you think the Bronco will be an all-star level player long-term? All-star level player. That's hard. That's top 24 players in a given season. Do I think he's that good? No. I don't think so. Could he? Yeah. Could he be? He might be able to be a player who sneaks into one all-star game. Is he a 10-year NBA starter? Probably, yeah. Is he closer to not quite peak Victor Oladipo, which was obviously an all-NBA player. Like, could he get to that part of his career? Like the Oladipo we saw before that? No, he's probably better than that. What sort of player is Jalen Williams like? I keep going back to Mikal Bridges, even though that was the name that was mentioned earlier. I think that's the sort of level of player. I don't know. I don't think he's a perennial all-star. I think he's very good. I don't think he's a perennial all-star. PJ Tucker is not officially in, but he is likely to play. Is Brooks without Morant an ad? He is still going to shoot horribly, but his usage will go up. So if you can deal with bad field goal percentage from Dylan Brooks, then yes, he is going to see more usage, but it is going to hurt a lot on your field goals. I do not have any information on Andrew Wiggins. Is he still a stash? No, look, in a points league, it depends. All of it is situation dependent. If you're in the playoffs, we don't know when he's going to come back. So I'd have no problem moving on and opening up. In a category league, he's nowhere near good enough to hold through all these absences. So again, if you're in your playoffs, you move on without injured reserve, of course. So PJ Tucker, probable. Any news on Muxie? No. He's still questionable. Interested to know how you determine categorical averages. If your team averages 17 points per game, you are average in the points category. It's really not that hard to do. You can actually do it for your individual league really, really easy. Like usually on the sites, on the standings, it'll tell you like how many points your team has scored and how many games they've played. Like you can just go in and do those divisions. You can easily see that. But in general, we use top 150, top 160 players, and we have to use those averages to calculate Z scores. So that's how I do it. But you can actually see it for your own league. And the deeper your league goes, the averages drop down. So it's like 17 points a game for a 12-team league, and it's like 16 points, whatever it is, for a 14-team league. It varies. But you can easily do that in your own league. Melton over Ivy or Suggs? Yeah, I would do that. Muxie Kleber is playing. JaVale McGee is out. There you go. Not that it matters. Biggest all-star snub this season, James Harden. RJ Hampton or Corey Joseph? I'm just going to go with the minutes, because Corey Joseph played 32 and Hampton played 20. Hampton was fueled by 5 steals, which is not replicable. I don't know whether Joseph will get those minutes again, but that's the direction I would go with. What's going on with Giannis Antetokounmpo? He's not playing today. Giannis has a degenerative knee problem, and it's always going to cause him to sit out games. And they are playing so well. Actually, well, today, rephrase. Giannis is sick. That's what's going on with him today. He's sick. That's the thing. Do I think Morant will be suspended 50 games? Honestly, have no idea. Because it's all going to depend on whether he had the gun on the plane. That's really where the suspension comes from. Do I use the NBA playoffs as a big part of your evaluation of players going into next season? No, I don't. No, I don't. The NBA playoffs are a really different situation. Teams run like 8-man rotations. They scheme more for other players. So there'll be guys like Steven Adams who will literally play 0 minutes in playoff series, but come back the next year and play 28 minutes a night really comfortably. So you watch it, you pay attention. But if you base a lot on what happens in the playoffs, you will screw up in fantasy drafts the next season. Because it's just a very, very different situation. Different rotations, different schemes, different game plans. Coaches become more brutal with rotation decisions. And it doesn't really carry over to the next season, I don't find. Mitchell Robinson is must roster in all leagues, yes. On Basketball Monster, why are the daily lineups times in Eastern time, but the game-by-game column on the news page is in Central time? The game-by-game column on the news page is in your own time zone. The daily lineups times are in Eastern because that's the official NBA timing. But on the, I understand the confusion. The daily page though is just your time zone. So you are in Central time zone, I'm guessing. Is Suggs likely to keep starting spot going forward? I don't know that he's likely to. I think there's a decent chance, but the shooting is the real problem there. But I think they'd like to get this little chance to see how it works together with him. And Jordan Clarkson is out. The man on the street is out.
JordanClarkson.
I think they'd like to see how that works for a little bit of time. So I think there is a chance that Suggs keeps starting, yes. For finals week in Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, does it add up total categories won or total other players beat? It's total other players beat. So you go up against 59 other opponents. It's not about winning 7-2. It's a standard playoff matchup. So what's your record? Is it 58-1 or 40-19? That's how that works. Like a standard playoff. Not about categories. It's about wins. Is Dunn a better pickup than most streams you've already mentioned? The only streams I've really mentioned for today have been for blocks, but yes, Chris Dunn's a good ad today. Really good ad for today. Any news on Kuzma? Yes, you can see on the screen there, Jack Landale. You can see on the screen, he's playing. How long is Carter out for? I have no idea. They said it's not serious, but we don't know. Is LeBron a drop? Yeah, he should have been dropped as soon as we heard that injury last week. I don't know why you're still holding, but if you have an open IL slot, then you don't need to drop. But otherwise, yes. Who's the best stream with Clarkson out? Well, Horton Tucker and Chris Dunn are the two guys that we want to stream in there. Melton or DiVincenzo today? I think Melton's a better player, so I go with him. Kuzma likely out tomorrow since playing today. Not necessarily. He hasn't had a history of that necessarily. I think it's reasonable to suggest that he might miss, but I don't think that it's likely. Sam says, in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball points league, the final week will highest points win. Yes. Whoever has the highest points total for the week in that week wins. That's what it is. That's a little bit of a different setup, yeah. Bain or Edwards on Draft Stars, Trenner? Give me Edwards. Should you drop Reddish for Dunn or Tucker? I think I'd rather Reddish with Simon still out. Why don't I eat breakfast? Don't I get hungry in the morning? No, I don't. I have a coffee and that's it. Is Bogdanovic a drop if you've got someone else in IR? Look, I just don't know what's going to happen with Bojan Bogdanovic. I think it's going to be really frustrating. I don't think you're going to get a full week out of him rest of season. And that probably does make him a drop, yeah. you'll get burnt on the nights where he comes in and plays, but I think he's going to miss a bunch of time here, and I wouldn't bother with him. I wouldn't bother rostering him in a lot of different spots. It's going to be hard to know, when that's reasonable to consider him as a drop or what they're going to do, but everything looks pretty rough with the Pistons at the moment. Best Wizard stream for the 3 days. Well, you're looking at Delon Wright, Daniel Gafford, Denny Avdia, and then Corey Kispert. They're your best 4. So I think at least you'll find one of those guys available. That's the order I'd have them as well. Would I view Brandon Ingram as a bust? In what perspective? Like for fantasy drafts this season, I think he's sort of produced exactly as you would have expected to. You drafted him in like the 40 to 50 range, 40 to 60 range. He's produced around that level. The injuries, what can you do? I don't like... You can't predict that stuff. You just can't. So does that make him a bust? I don't know. I don't think I would consider him. That's bad luck. I don't know if it's a bust. Do we drop Cat? Why would you still hold him at this point? I don't know when he's coming back. No one is telling us anything. I think it's probably 3 games. It's three more weeks at least, and you have to decide whether that makes sense. It's hard to hold through that though. If Morant does get suspended 50 games, what does that do for his draft next season? Well, he always gets overdrafted, so maybe now he'll actually get put into the right spot. But if he's out 50 games, which I don't know, that would depend how many games they play in the playoffs. But it's like 19 games left this season, so 30 more games left. They might play another, let's say, 15 in the playoffs. Maybe they play 10 in the playoffs, so he might miss 20 games to start next season. People will still always overdraft Ja Morant. He'd be a guy that I probably wouldn't take until the 80s, but that's a lot of ifs there. I dropped Gary Trent in a 10-team league for a streaming spot. What do you think? Yeah, in a 10-team league, no problem. Is Thibault still a hold, or can we drop for a streamer? I would rather hold him. Like, if you added him, like, what is the problem with Matisse Thybulle that you found? He played 37 minutes because he didn't get 5 steals. Like, you have Thybulle for steals and blocks. Whatever else you get, whatever. I think he's a must-roster player, but it's got to make sense on your team. By must-roster, I mean he shouldn't sit on any waiver wires. Someone can use him. I don't think you get more value streaming. Tyus Jones is absolutely must-roster. Absolutely. Is Simons a drop? We just don't know when he's coming back. I think I did have him, and I dropped him when the initial injury came back. Then they bullshitted on the timeline, and he came back earlier. Now he's hurt again. I don't think he's good enough to hold through a lot of zeros. I'll put it that way. You meant for real life, is Brandon Ingram a bust? Number 2 overall pick. A couple of All-Star games I think he's made. Is he a bust? Like, you definitely prefer Jaylen Brown over him in that draft. I'd say he's probably right on. Like, I think we have expectations that number 2 overall picks, that they're going to be always stars. And for what he's returned so far, I think he's probably about right. You probably wouldn't take him at 2, but let me double check that draft. 2016, yeah. So we know when Simmons isn't going at 1. There's a lot of spuds in that draft. So we've got Ingram at 2. So who else would we take? Jaylen Brown over him? Yep. Jamal Murray? Maybe, maybe not. Domantas Sabonis? Maybe, maybe not. Who else is actually good in that draft? Jakob Poeltl? Pascal Siakam and DeJounte Murray. Okay. So as a number, they were never in consideration at pick 2. But you would say that Brown is better than him, Siakam is better than him, and then there's like Sabonis, DeJounte Murray, Malcolm Brogdon. I wouldn't say he's been a bust. I'd say it's okay. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for being a part of the show again. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for doing all that stuff that you guys do. Appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on the way out, and that would be very helpful if you could do it. And I will see you guys the next time. Where's my buttons? There it is. I'll see you guys later. Bye.